And a good afternoon. I'm Lon Gonzalez, and this is South Texas Midday. Nueces County commissioners have issued an immediate burn ban for the county's outside city limits. The order prohibits all outdoor burning, including beach bonfires, for the next 60 days through March 28th. The county judge can lift the ban earlier if weather and ground conditions improve. The burn ban applies only to areas outside city limits. Burns connected to public health and safety are allowed to continue if approved by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. Burning household trash is allowed only in areas without trash pickup service, but must be burned inside an enclosed container like a metal barrel with a screen. Barbecues and cookouts, they're still allowed. Outdoor welding and other work that creates sparks must also follow fire safety rules. County officials said violators of the burn ban could be charged with a Class C misdemeanor and fined up to $500. The Corpus Christi Housing Authority was in court Tuesday in a Nueces County lawsuit that claims the agency violated the Texas Open Meetings Act when it proposed canceling dozens of low-income housing agreements. KIII News reports that owners of 13 apartment complexes are seeking a temporary restraining order, asking a judge to stop the Housing Authority from voiding more than 50 housing agreements. They argue that canceling the contracts could displace countless families. The contracts in question were approved by a previous board, which allowed portions of existing apartment complexes to be designed, or I should say designated, as low-income housing in exchange for removing those properties from the tax rolls.
It was a hearing on two things. One is we filed a plea to jurisdiction asking the court to basically dismiss this lawsuit that the developers brought against the Housing Authority because they don't have subject matter jurisdiction, so they can't bring these affirmative claims against us.
That was Jeff Lerman, who represents the Housing Authority, speaking with KIII on Tuesday. He said the hearing focused on getting the lawsuit dismissed as well as addressing a temporary restraining order that blocks the Housing Authority from taking further action. Following a shooting incident that left one man dead last Friday, Corpus Christi police officers had apprehended and patted down the suspect in that shooting, but somehow he managed to produce a weapon and open fire from the back of a police unit. The suspect, 38-year-old Ricardo Rojas, had been stopped by police after the shooting incident and had been placed inside a patrol car. He opened fire on the officers when they opened the vehicle's door. 3 officers were wounded, 1 seriously. Officers returned fire and struck the suspect several times. Senior Officer Alexandria Cano Castro was reported in critical condition following that shooting, but is recovering from her wounds. Rojas was charged with multiple offenses, including 4 counts of attempted murder, 1 count of murder, and unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. Bond amounts for the charges totaled to nearly $5 million. 42-year-old Robert Cirillo was sentenced to 21 months in federal prison on charges of wire fraud and embezzlement from a labor organization. Cirillo was president of the United Steelworkers Local 13-1647 and is alleged to have used union debit cards to make over 400 unauthorized personal purchases and reportedly lied to union members about those transactions. According to court documents, Cirillo embezzled more than $280,000 between June of 2021 and January of 2024. Next to serving 21 months in federal prison, Cirillo will have to pay $280,000 in restitution and serve 3 years of supervised release. The Refugio County Press reports that the town alderman voted Tuesday to remove Mayor Wanda Dukes from the board of directors of the Refugio Economic Development Corporation. That decision comes amid allegations of what were called conflict of interest with financial issues involving EDC funds. Alderman Dale Skrobarczyk, who is also a member of the EDC board, made the motion during the meeting to remove Dukes from the 7-member board. All but 1 other alderman voted for Dukes' removal. The Refugio County Press was told by an EDC board member that between $600,000 and $800,000 in EDC funds had been used by the city for other purposes without being approved by the city council. Skrobarczyk told the county press it was actually more than that amount. He said the funds were placed in the city's general fund. Mayor Dukes told the county press the funds weren't transferred but borrowed and were going to be replaced when FEMA funds were given to the city. Dukes claimed the council voted to use EDC funds for city manners. Hidalgo County leaders received a state grant to help build a $75 million water treatment plant in Edinburg. The Texas Water Development Board awarded the county with a $15 million grant for the project. Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 officials told KRGV that they've raised an additional $30 million for said project, which officials want to build near FM 2812 in the Edinburg area.
We anticipate being able to develop enough water for about 85,000 individuals.
That's Raul Sushim, general manager, I should say, of the Drainage District, speaking with KRGV. He said the plant would provide 5 million gallons of water per day. Drainage District officials said they're looking at 2 other sites in Hidalgo and Weslaco counties to build water treatment plants. An ICE detention center in South Texas was a scene of clashes Wednesday after a peaceful 2-mile march escalated between protesters and state troopers. Samuel Rocha reports.
As Texas Department of Public Safety troopers in riot gear moved towards protesters, tensions escalated near the South Texas Family Residential Center in Dilley. Protesters formed a line just feet from trooper shields as the standoff intensified. Angel Garcia was outside the detention center with friends in support of immigrant families housed inside. He said the response from law enforcement was unnecessary.
They started shooting some pepper spray into the crowd, trying to make people disperse for no apparent reason.
Garza was among those helping protesters flush their eyes with water after authorities deployed pepper ball projectiles and other less lethal measures. In a statement, the Texas Department of Public Safety said troopers used those measures after some demonstrators refused to disperse and breached a barrier. DPS said 2 people were arrested. I'm Samuel Rocha in Dilley, Texas.
A recent audit of the Weslaco ISD during a school board meeting this week led to the discovery of the school district overspending $14 million. The school district's previous chief financial officer, David Robledo, had stated in a June 2025 meeting the district had $85 million available for the 2024-25 school year. An audit later showed the actual balance was $71 million. With the information available, Weslaco school officials believe there was enough funding to cover over $14 million in stipends and raises. The audit showed otherwise. Robledo resigned his position in December. The Weslaco School District is looking at cost-saving measures at this time. Weslaco ISD officials will hold a special meeting about the issue. Airline travelers in Brownsville will soon have a direct flight to Orlando. City officials announcing that beginning in June, the Brownsville South Padre Island International Airport will offer year-round nonstop flights to Orlando International on Mondays and Fridays through Breeze Airways. The new service provides a direct connection to Florida and expands travel opportunities for residents, families, and businesses. Interim City Manager Alan Gard said in a new statement the partnership with Breeze Airways aligns with Brownsville's continued growth and future direction. Introductory airfares will start as low as $79, and flights are available for booking today. And more information can be found on Breeze Airways, website. And tomorrow on Morning Edition, South Texas Midday, our very own Rob Boskamp will tell you all about his beach day. Well, he and about 300 sea turtles were transported and treated at the Port Corpus Christi Center for Wildlife Rescue earlier this week. Turtles were admitted with conditions related to cold stunning. You'll have more from today's release at Padre Park tomorrow. In the meantime, the nonprofit Sea Turtle Inc. will host a public release later today of cold-stunned turtles rescued this week amid freezing temperatures. The nonprofit says over 370 turtles were found, tagged, and documented during the cold-stun event. Frigid cold temperatures cause cold-blooded sea turtles to become lethargic and unable to swim, leaving them vulnerable to predators and boat strikes. The turtles will be released back into the ocean in Cameron County now that temperatures are slowly warming across the state. And that's the latest on South Texas Midday. I'm Lon Gonzalez, and your community arts calendar and more is coming your way in just a moment.